Hey everybody, this is Sabrina. This is my first screencast attempt, so we'll see how it goes. I guess my first thing is I hope that you realize that there's some cool, funky lights in the background, and I hope they remind you of being somewhere cool, like a roller skating rink, or I don't know, something that involves pinball. They're kind of cool because they have this neat remote, and the remote makes it so that you can change the colors. So I'll try and change the colors a few times just to keep you guys engaged in what's going on. All right. Purpose of this screencast is to go over the educator evaluation cycle for this school year. And just so you know, this is the process it will be no matter what, no matter if we go back to some sort of hybrid situation or, goodness gracious, if somehow we go back all in person. This will be the process no matter what. So hopefully it will be clear to you by the end of this screencast. All right, the targets, I guess, like I just said, is that you'll understand how this process is going to work, understand the timelines and the tools for the evaluation process this year. One thing that we will do soon is send out a list to you of who is being evaluated this year. One thing for certified teachers that's important for you guys to know is that it's an every other year process. So if you were evaluated formally last year, then you will not be this year, and vice versa. But for EAs and paras and office staff, it's an every year kind of deal. So you'll be on the list again. All right, that will be coming to you soon. This year, the evaluation process is going to stay remaining rooted, I guess is how I can say it, in the Danielson framework. That's the same tool that we have used for the past several years. A committee got together and adapted the tool, which in this case really means what they did is they simplified it, which I think we can all appreciate, instead of picking a whole new tool to learn. So it is an abbreviated version of the Danielson framework. This next slide shows all of the people that were on that committee. If you want to reach out to any of them to ask any questions, you of course are welcome to. This next slide is really the big thing. The nice thing about this year is that all of the required tools have been narrowed down to really two. And that, I think, is a very nice clarification and simplification. It will be interesting to see if that simplification gets carried into the after COVID times, but we'll see about that. The first one is called the Administrator Observation Tool. This is a Google Doc you can get a quick look at. It is simpler than before, and it clarifies that for everyone that's being observed, there will be a pre-observation, an observation, and a post-observation. That's how it usually goes. Then for probationary, there will be both a fall summative and a spring summative. If you're a contract teacher, the spring summative is just what happens at the very end. That's where the decision gets made. Yes, we're moving forward with employment. So you can see, I won't go through this whole thing, but you can kind of get a glance of how the form looks. Basically, the element is right here written out, and then the administrator marks not yet, in process, or established. There's only 3 designations now, and a slide upcoming will go through how those are each defined. So that's what the form looks like. It is a Google Doc, which I think is really nice because it can be shared between the administrator and the educator. And then same with this self-assessment and reflection form, also a Google Doc that can be shared. It really is a chance for you as the teacher to do some self-assessing on your own teaching, the lesson, but also just teaching in general, reflecting on how things are going, and then you and the administrator basically calibrate between yourselves and see if you're in agreement. And really, those are the only 2 tools, which again is really nice because if you look at this bottom of this slide, it shows how many forms there used to be in addition to these 2 types of forms. Form 2, Form 4, Form 5, Form 6, etc. There were many, many forms, and many of them were really duplicates of each other. So I see this as a good step. The other really nice thing is that instead of each area having 5 or 6 different components that are scored. This committee has really chosen just 1 or 2, as you can see from each area. So let's just look at the area 1, for example. You will see there is no 1A, 1C, excuse me, or 1D. They really just pulled out kind of like what is most important and what is the essence for right now during distance learning. You can see that component 4 now only has 1 area that will be scored. So that simplifies the whole process, which I think is really reasonable and fair. These next few slides, I'm not going to spend time reading each of them because I'll share this document with you so you can read it on your own. You also might be receiving it from PAT or somebody else in the district, so you might get it twice. But this gives you a chance to look closely at what areas are going to be scored and what are the components of those areas. So you can see there's just a slide for each of those things, and that's it. I mean, I really have to say I like the brevity of it. The next several slides, actually, sorry, I'm going to change the color of the lights while you read the designations. There we go, sort of a yellow-green. Instead of all the rating choices that there used to be, there are now just 3 choices. Established means the educator could teach others. So just in your mind right now, think about things you've already taught. Many of you have taught me different things, how to do better during distance learning, or you have taught your PLC colleague, or you have taught all of us during a staff meeting, or you certainly have taught students how to use different strategies and tools. If that is true, that would end up with you being designated as an established teacher in that area. In process means that the element of success is observed, either in discussion, in conversation, in dialogue, in an informal observation. Formal observation is somewhere. It's been observed. And then not yet, pretty clear. There is no evidence anywhere, observation planning or debriefing. So you would get a not yet in that area. Here is what I was going to say. This slide just focuses in and reminds us all that 1, we're in a really strange time. The challenges that we are all experiencing due to this global pandemic are pretty remarkable. And 2, that now and in normal times, the evaluation cycle is meant to be focused on educator growth. That remains true and is really highlighted during this time when really we're all learning brand new ways to teach and engage students and communicate with families. So please know that is at the forefront of the essence of this process. Timelines for evaluations. We have at Vestal a handful of probationary teachers and staff, and those evaluations have to be completed before winter break. So you can imagine in your own mind, like, that doesn't mean there's really not that many school days if you look at a calendar between now and winter break. So probationary teachers, probationary staff, please know that Jeff and I will be reaching out to you really soon to schedule the process. And again, what the process means is a pre-meeting to talk about the lesson, observing the lesson, and then a post-meeting where we discuss what happened in the lesson, and that is where the self-assessment piece and reflection come in. So that really means three times, 3 meetings of sorts. And again, you can see how that will be important to calendar out pretty soon. If you are not a probationary teacher, yours will most likely be after winter break. I always put out the offer, though, for people that just like to get this part out of the way for one reason or another, and you don't even have to share your rationale because I like to get some of them out of the way too. If you wish to have yours completed before winter break, I know that both Jeff and I are totally open to that as much as we can make it work. Okay. Almost done here. The non-classroom PAT educators, the jobs that are on this list, These people always have a different evaluation form. It's actually shorter than the classroom teacher one. And this year it will be modified as well. So it'll be even a little bit shorter. But all of these people, if you are on the list to be evaluated this year, that will happen with your same modified form. So you can see obviously who that applies to. Okay, the next several slides we're actually not going to go through, but they are there in case you want to look at them. They are all about calibration. The administrators went through some training to calibrate. Again, how do you decide if someone is established in process or not yet? I do have to say that I like that it's been simplified into 3 categories. It does seem to make it a lot easier to clarify the differences between established, in process, or not yet. But if for any reason you want to look through that calibration, you are welcome to do that either with Jeff and or I, or just on your own. I don't know exactly what other setting you would want to do that with. So anyways, that is an overview of the evaluation process and how it's going to go this year. Interesting to do a screencast. We'll see how it turns out. Thanks everybody for paying attention and being here.